Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is Superman vs. Aliens 2, God War. Now, this is a graphic novel written by Chuck Dixon and illustrated by Jon Bogdanove, I'm probably butchering his name, and published by DC and Dark Horse Comics. Now, this was first published as a 4-issue comic book series in 2002, and then later on all 4 issues were collected into one graphic novel or trade paperback. Now, this is a sequel to the 1995 graphic novel Superman vs. Aliens by Dan Jurgens. Now, I already reviewed that one last year when I did these Superman reviews, and I'll leave a link in the description below to where you can check out that review. Now, both this and the first graphic novel feature the character of Superman, who was originally created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, going up against the Xenomorphs, who are the villains from the Alien franchise, which started with the 1979 horror film Alien, which was directed by Ridley Scott and written by Dan O'Bannon. Alien was followed by James Cameron's Aliens, which for some people overshadows the original. Now, after Aliens came out, Dark Horse put out a comic book series that initially acted as sequels to the movie Aliens, but then when Alien 3 came out, it retconned the continuity of the comics, so the Aliens comics were kind of forced to go off in their own direction. Now, I have kind of a special history with this comic. When I was a little kid, I actually got issue 3 of this series. I got my dad to buy this for me without even realizing that it was actually the third part of the story. I used to actually have issue 4 as well, but I ended up losing that. So, the plot of God War is Superman is visiting the planet of New Genesis, which is a planet inhabited by beings of the same power set as Superman. Basically, it's a planet inhabited by beings that, from our point of view, would be basically gods, and they even call themselves the New Gods. And New Genesis is basically the exact polar opposite of the planet Apocalypse, which is the planet that Darkseid is from and rules over. So what happens is, in the beginning of the comic, a ship carrying the Xenomorphs crashes on Apocalypse, and Darkseid discovers these creatures and decides to use this parasitic organism as weapons against New Genesis. So in the story, Darkseid launches an assault of parademons against New Genesis, parademons that have been impregnated with the Xenomorphs, and eventually baby Xenomorphs burst out of their chests, and soon New Genesis is being overrun by these creatures. So, Superman, who has dealt with these creatures before, has to stop this invasion, and Orion, who is actually Darkseid's son, gets impregnated with a Xenomorph, and he knows that he's going to die when this thing bursts out of his chest, so him and Superman are now racing against time to find the alien queen. But yeah, Superman vs. Aliens 2 God War was a fun read. It's not a great comic by any means. Like, I didn't care for all of the artwork in this. Like, there were certain points where some of the characters look kinda dopey. I also didn't buy some of Darkseid's motivations towards the end of the story. I will say I liked that they used Darkseid as the main villain of this. Darkseid, I think, is one of Superman's scariest antagonists. There is a pretty badass scene where a facehugger launches itself at Darkseid and he just grabs it in his hand and then crushes it. And remember that the Xenomorphs have acid for blood. But it is a fun read. I do think the first Superman vs. Aliens comic is better, but admittedly I am a sucker for any of these comics that feature DC characters or any kind of superhero going up against the Xenomorphs. I don't actually consider them to be canon. Like, I just look at them as fun what-if stories. Like, what if the Xenomorphs invaded the DC universe? But if you are a fan of either the Superman or the Alien franchise, I do recommend checking this comic out. But yeah, that was my review on Superman vs. Aliens 2 God War, and bye.